Three, two, one.
What's going on, ISO gang? It's ISO Joe, and I'm back with another video. So, we're surprisingly coming to the end of, or what looks like to be the end of both the Western Conference Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals. And the Eastern Conference Finals is really on the verge of making history. The Miami Heat, the 8th seed, play-in team, on the verge of making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And they're a very interesting team because, to me, I feel like they're one of those teams that really speak their future into existence. Even if no one else believes what they're capable of, they believe in themselves, and they feel as though they are a team that's talented enough to not just get to the playoffs, but get to the finals and win. Because Jimmy Butler even said early in this season, when they were 2-5, 3 games under 500, that they were still gonna win the NBA championship. And right now, I mean, they're giving us no reason not to believe that. They were giving a 3% chance against the Boston Celtics to even have a chance of getting to the NBA Finals. And they proved everyone wrong. Honestly, they just proved everyone wrong. And, it just really starts within that Heat culture. Like, that Heat culture, I didn't really want to believe it, especially since they have kind of, fluctuated in their success between the past 3 years since the bubble, about that Heat culture, that grit and grind, attitude about, if we work hard, we can get there. But they've proven, across the board that they have the talent to get them there. And, it's starting with their veteran coach and Eric Spoelstra. I mean, he's shown that he's built for the playoffs. Like, he is able to rally the troops and get them to where they need to be, bring them to the promised land. And they've really been able to do that without having a star-studded team. Because if you look at the track that the Miami Heat have taken, they haven't had but one All-Star. And, it's arguable whether Jimmy should have been an All-Star. I think he should have been an All-Star. I mean, I think there were just so many great players in the East that it was hard to pick up. Since Jimmy's one of those players that I feel like load manages the best way. I mean, he's still going to do enough to get you to win, but he's not going to overexert himself during the regular season. But yeah, I mean, to be the number 1 seed of last year and then to fall within like the 6th seed at one point and be fighting for a play-in spot and ended up getting a play-in spot, losing to the Atlanta Hawks, who ended up taking the 7th seed, and then being down with 2 minutes left in the elimination game of the play-in game against the Chicago Bulls, being able to come back, salvage that game and get into the playoffs with the 8th seed. I think that has really inspired the rest of the team. And what makes their track just so remarkable is just the fact that they were able to get through 2 juggernauts, or almost get through two juggernauts. They're still working on the Celtics, but 2 teams that had valid candidates for the MVP, guys that finished top 5 in MVP votings. I mean, you had Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was a 2-time MVP, led the Bucks to the number 1 seed. And while he did get injured, I mean, I think something has to be said about Miami Heat beating that team in 5 games. 5 games, I believe. And, this was with Hero going out. This is with Oladipo going out. Like, this was a team that is already without, the plethora of all-stars, but was even more hampered having their 6th man go down, and to have Oladipo go out, who, I feel really bad for him. Prayers up to him, just because his whole career has been plagued with injuries. But yeah, I mean, this team has really, really gotten out of the mud, for lack of a better term. But just, to do all that and to bring Kevin Love, who seemed to be rotting away in Cleveland, like, to bring him back and to get contributions out of him. I mean, this Miami Heat has really turned their season around and has really shown that they're a force to be reckoned with. And I think just, starting with their star in Jimmy Butler, he just clicks into a second gear every time the playoffs roll around. Every May, like, they're just able to turn it on. And, with Jimmy, who's averaging 26 against the Celtics, I mean, he had, I believe, like 35 in game 1, 27 in game 2, and didn't even have to do that much in the blowout win in game 3. because, again, this is what makes the Heat just such a dangerous team. Any given night, anybody can get into double figures and to give you 20. Like Cody Martin is averaging 19 points a game, just about. And you got Gabe Vincent, who's averaging 18 points a game. And then you have Max Strus, who's also averaging 12 points a game. And then you got Duncan Robinson coming off the bench, who has been a beast from the three-point line. I mean, the Miami Heat, and this is just, a testament to Eric Spoelstra's this genius, they have any player that can just come off the bench and can contribute, positively anytime they're on the court. And especially since they've been undefeated at home, like that just, drives them to entirely new heights. So like if they're able to steal a game on the road like they were able to do against the second seeded Boston Celtics, like they really just sucked the life out of the Celtics in that game 3. And I don't know if you all tuned into that game, but it was a blowout. I mean, and you even had guys on TNT, Charles Barkley, Shaq, all of them were joking, them saying that, they had no fight. I mean, it was just embarrassing. I mean, they looked gassed. They didn't look like a number 2 seed. And I know a lot of people want to put the blame on Joe Mazzulla and what he didn't do. He wasn't ready for this moment. He's too inexperienced, which some of that may be true. But I do think, the Miami Heat are just a great overall team. Like they just have, impenetrable defenses. Like no one is attacking the paint. And they're able to force the Boston Celtics into taking bad shots. I mean, they forced Brown and Tatum into taking these multiple contested threes with, a number of them being air balls or bricks. And then you had guys like Marcus Smart trying to draw fouls and shoot off-balance shots. I mean, when you have a team like the Celtics that are living and dying by the 3, if you're able to get them like that, I mean, and keeping them to keep forcing threes and forcing shots and not getting good looks, you're going to have a good chance of winning the series, of winning the game. And that's exactly what they did. And I think what I really thought broke the Celtics is Jimmy didn't even have to have a big game. I mean, he had 16, and he was able to spread the wealth amongst his teammates. That's a sign of a very dangerous and really deep team if you have guys that are able to do that. Another player I didn't mention, Bam Adebayo. Like, he's just been a beast inside. I know he's had a couple of 20-point games in this series, and if he's on, their all-star, and those role players I mentioned earlier, Martin, Strus, Vincent, Robinson. I mean, if you have all those guys on, the Heat are going to be a very hard team to stop in these playoffs. Now, I mean, I had Boston winning the series, but it's looking like I'm about to be proved wrong. And I know a lot of people had that, especially ESPN, that gave Boston a 97% chance of winning this series. Now, I feel like 97% was a bit of a stretch, and I think most people will agree to that. But I mean, it's looking like it's going to be a sweep for Miami. Now, I think Boston will walk away with, one win. I don't think it'll be sweet. I think it might be a gentleman's sweep because I just don't see a second seed going out like that. But, Boston's got to figure something out quickly, something fast, because they do not want to end up on the wrong side of history. Having they're not the first 8th seed, but the first 8th seed to win, 4 games to advance in the series, go to the finals. And especially with, the tumultuous year that the Miami Heat have had, this is not what the Boston Celtics want. But, it's looking like it's going to be Heat in 5, but let me know your thoughts on this one. Until next time.